All right, guys, I know you've been watching me fiddle with some stuff here for a few minutes. Just bear with me. I've been very busy this afternoon. I've been doing a lot of pages from my 6x8. These are my people kit. So I mean, literally just been watching some YouTube and assembling these. I love, it's labeled so well. I mean, tells you exactly where these things go, and then the instructions. So I've just been fiddling around with that and finally realized and looked at the time and I'm like, oh, we got to get going. So cold embossing coming right up. Hold on one second. Just trimming a little bit of paper. Oh, if I can figure out what I did with the trimmer. In the drawer. All right, so who knows? Let's just start. Let's roll with it. Okay. Cold embossing. I know it sounds so weird, just like regular embossing, but since we talked about the heat embossing this morning, this is the difference. So this is when you roll the paper through an embossing folder. And this is something you do need equipment for, okay? Yeah, it's expensive. It's an investment, but I do think that there's a lot of good things that you can use with a die cut / embossing machine. So if you don't have one, you can PM me one. We do have one from close to my heart, but it's only available for hostesses. So if you have some questions, but here's just some of those examples. We looked at some of these earlier this week. This is that raised. So we're going to put our paper through and it's going to give it this beautiful raised embossed look. And I have a couple of new things that I have learned in the last week or so that I do want to try. And I forgot I had a sample. Oh, it's still downstairs in the basement. I had a sample of one that I did a year or so ago where you put ink on the embossing folder and roll it through and it brings that out. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to need a big die cutting machine. I'm pulling mine up. They're very heavy. This is mine. I've had it for many years. My husband did purchase it for me. Oh gosh, it's got to be 15, 16 years ago now. And there are newer ones on the market. There's all sorts of things. So you also will need. We're just gonna grab a multi-purpose platform. And it'll show us which kind of setting we need. So here we go. For embossing folders, you're going to open it up to this one here. So essentially, you need a machine like this. You're going to need some cutting plates. I'm going to grab these. These are some newer ones that I have. And then you're going to need an embossing folder. And I'm going to pull this out of the way for just a minute, perch it over here, and show you what I mean by an embossing folder. So I have 2 tubs of embossing folders. Yes, I've been hoarding them for quite some time, and I have another one. So I have the small size and the large size, and I'm going to pull these out so you can see. But I have many embossing folders. These are very, very affordable. I mean, anywhere between $2 and $10. So when I usually see them, I kind of pick them up and add them to my collection. So let's just see what's one that I use a lot. There are the one that I thought I ordered from close to my heart, actually, I went back and double checked my order. I forgot to order, so I'm going to have to dig that up. So here's some waves. So let's grab that one, and let's see if sometimes there's ones. Here's a birthday one. This one's pretty popular. Let me see if there's anything that is just kind of different. Clouds, chevron, mittens. Kind of like the mittens, but I mean, so many different anchors. I used this on some cards recently. Geometrics, clouds. Here's like a flower one. So let's just grab those 3 I don't even know if I have enough paper to use them all, but it'll just kind of give you an idea of some of the things that, and then these are larger. I don't know if there's anything in particular that you really need for the larger one. The Argyle one I use on a lot of things, so we can pull that one out. This one's all cupcakes. I mean, so many to choose from. So let's just stick with that one for the time being, and let's see if we can remember how to do this. All right, so basically you'll want to start with your paper cut down. Oh, here's my trimmer. I'm going to trim these down just a little bit further. These are great as a layer that you can add to the front of a card. You can actually run, maybe I'll leave one of these here. You can run it through and leave the whole card to emboss that. And then this one, I do know is going to be a little bit too big. So let me just quickly, 5-ish. All right, there we go. So your machines, not every machine is the same. So you'll just have to, read the instructions that came with your machine. Watch a YouTube tutorial if you like. But each machine and each placement of the platforms is going to be a little bit different depending on what you're doing. And sometimes you can get embossing folders that are really super thick. Sometimes you spritz the paper. But everything that I have, I don't have any of those really 3D ones out at the moment. So let's just kind of use this. So I'm sliding my paper into my folder, trying to keep it as straight as possible. Sometimes with these big, florals, it doesn't matter. And then, let's see, we're going to put down one plate on top of this surface. We're going to put our embossing folder. I try to put it a little bit sideways so it's not hitting this whole surface as you go through. And then you're going to crank through. Oh, somehow this doesn't seem right because it's not giving me a lot of resistance. So let's see. Oh, it did do it. Yeah, it did look it very well. Sometimes you really have to crank it to get it to go through. But did you see how this just made that piece of paper so elegant and beautiful? So that's flowers. Let's try another one. Sometimes you can just sit here in an afternoon and just, crank through a whole bunch of different patterns and just have a whole bunch ready for when you're doing, a stack of cards, or if you want to do, say you're doing a birthday album and you want to just have some extra little things to cut and put there. So one thing I will say, some of these things where you see like a shape cut out of maybe the middle of the embossing thing, you're going to want to cut that. Say you wanted an oval in the middle of this, you need to cut that first and then put this through, because otherwise you're going to smush down your embossing. All right, so again, we're going to put it on a little bit of an angle, and this, we're going to crank it on through. And yeah, these are going nice and smooth. So if you're hitting too much resistance, be careful. You do not want to break. There's a big expensive roller in here. You don't want to break that. And look, how wonderful is that? All right, a little hard to see. This, I would say maybe a little shim could make this pop a little bit more. It should be perhaps a little bit more, but this one for sure was perfect. It had enough density going through. Let's look at this large one here. Again, the Argyle one is nice and neutral. I use it on a lot of things. Push this through. Can't go on such an angle because it's a bigger embossing folder, but I've seen fronts of 5x7 cards that have been totally embossed. They look great. Get this out of the way. All right. Oh, and you look what, I did not get my cutting pad lined all the way up, so this little corner isn't going to emboss, I'll bet. Let me slide this cutting pad back and roll it back through this way. Maybe we'll get that little corner. Otherwise, you could trim it down a little bit. It would be fine. Yeah, look at that. How wonderful. I have even seen, so I don't know if you guys know with this, there's always usually a hole in this brand. That so if you had a long strip of something, you could feed it through this. But I have seen, let's say this is a card and you want the front and the back embossed. Let's see if I can, it should work. You're just going to roll it through twice, okay? You're going to put it through, and you might have to fiddle around to make sure you're getting, the pattern to go which way and that, but just for quick demonstration purposes. My sister had, we did program books for her wedding, and we did it through both ways so that the front and the back were embossed. All right. So there's that. Pull this out. Slide it on over here. You could try to line them up, but it doesn't really matter. You put the fold there. Nobody's going to see it. You do want to kind of line, if this is very geometric, so you do kind of want to line it up a little bit. All right. Let's push our baby through. Make sure we're on the cutting pad. Make sure we're lined up. And in we go. All right. And then if I had scored this beforehand, you could see. So now you've got a card that is embossed on the outside and on the back. All right. Obviously you want to match, so stamp something and mat it and put it in here. All right. So those are kind of the two things I wanted to show in terms of that's basic cold embossing. Now let's see if we can remember how to do where we add the ink to it. All right. So I'm just going to scooch this a little bit out of the way. I'm going to grab won't be the brightest ink to see, but it'll be a little bit. I'm going to grab my embossing folder, and you might have to play with it. It might depend on which side of the folder that you apply the ink. Traditionally, it's usually the side with the logo, but if it doesn't come out the way that you want it to, flip and put your ink on this side. All right. So here's my green or sweet leaf. Sorry, I should have grabbed a darker color, but all right. So I'm just going to put some ink all over this embossing folder here. All right. There's my ink, and I love my magnetic thing. All right, and this you kind of have to do without moving your paper around too much. I'm going to slide my platform and my plates back through. I'm going to take my piece of white cardstock. I'm going to, oops, very carefully, I've kind of moved it already. Put this down. And I might, all right. I was going to say I might add a shim because, again, I'm not getting as much pressure. Here, I'm going to add some paper. I'm not getting as much pressure through here as I usually do. So, but again, sometimes I don't use my multi-purpose platform. Sometimes I use, so I'm just kind of grabbed a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to push that through. And I already do feel a lot more resistance. Just this little sheet of paper gives you sometimes that what you need to make that tension. All right, I hope this worked. It's been a while since I've done it. All right, there you go. Now I probably should have maybe spritzed this so that it ran a little bit, but how pretty is that? And I've done this several times with the lavender, and you get the ink down here and the embossing stays white. It's very pretty. So that's one idea. All right, play around with that. You can do all sorts of different combinations with that. And then you'll just wipe off your embossing folder with a, baby wipe. The other thing, which is something that I just saw, is to emboss. If you're making shaker cards, and Close to My Heart sells a great shaker card kit. I'll look it up in a little bit, or I might put it down in the comments. But you can get a circle window shaker, and then they also sell the round foam with the acetate that is cut perfectly, so you wouldn't need this. But let's just cut this down for a moment. I should have done that before I grabbed. All right, so we're going to cut this out. And then, so what they've done is you'll take and you're going to emboss the acetate. And then when you make your shaker card, you have a beautiful texture on your clear acetate, which is very unusual. And it looked so cool in this example. And they did it with the Seize the Day embossing folder, which I thought I ordered, but I apparently did not. All right, so I'm just trimming down a piece of acetate like that. Let's grab an embossing folder. Let's grab one that we haven't used yet. Let's try. I'm just reaching down and slightly, maybe not entirely randomly. All right, here's like a very geometric pattern. Let's see what happens. All right. This is a mystery. This is the first time I literally saw this on a YouTube video the other day from a woman who is at the very top of my upline for Close to My Heart, and I thought, I can't believe I have never seen or heard of that. And you know what? Again, I'm going to add that little bit of a shim just to kind of give my rollers a little more resistance. All right, pushing it through. You can see how it pops it up just that little bit to give a little more resistance. If you hear your plates cracking, that's totally normal. Totally normal. All right, look at this. How cool is that? All right, so that's just a piece of acetate. This is like from a thing of laser things. But if you were to make a shaker window card or a shaker card with that and adding that little bit of a pattern to it, I think that's really cool. And again, this is the very first time I've done it. I watched the YouTube video last week and I didn't even have time to practice because I was so consumed with getting through that kit, which I'm loving more and more. These are my people kit. So I'm going to pull this out of the way. And again, an embossing machine is going to be a bit of an investment. You're going to be looking to be spending at least about $100 or so for that. In the Close to My Heart catalog, I think it is listed as a hostess thing that you can buy there. But if you have questions, just give me a shout, give me a call, and I can kind of walk you through how we can get that one for you. Here it is. It's here. And this one is super great because it is way more portable than mine. It folds up. These little two platform things fold up. It is so much more transportable. And it comes with adjustable pressure settings for the best cutting and embossing. So you can use it for all of, the framelits that we have in the catalog. That's anything that has, let's see if I can find one. Anything that has that shade to it will cut out the shape. Those are the framelits or thinlits or whatever they're called these days. So it comes with suction cups in the base for no slip cranking and a 6-inch opening. It's compatible with most embossing folders and metal dies. So it's not available as a 50% off item, but it's $99.95 and $7.95 shipping. So, and then here's that shaker card. So I love this. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So if you're doing the kit, the card making subscription kit, I've had 2 shipments of that. All right. So I've had 8 months shipped, and that has come with a shaker card in it twice now. I don't know where the thing is. It's someplace up here somewhere. So it has shipped with, the card has been pre-cut, and then it comes with a set of these. It's $4.50 for 6 sets. So you're going to get 6 of these rims, and then the middle part is, so this is foam, adhesive foam. The middle part, let me lift this up, I don't know if you guys can see it. The middle part is just more sticky squares so that you can use the rest of that for dimensionals, for whatever else you're doing. And then it does come with a clear cut acetate piece that's already cut, and you just literally have to peel off a protective coating that's on one side, and you will do shaker cards. And if you remember my embossing this morning, if you use your little embossing buddy on this, it helps. If you're doing like the tiny sequins, they don't stick to it. It's great. But if you don't have the pre-made kits that you're getting from the subscription club, then you do need this piece here, which is a 4-piece die set. So it'll cut the hole in your card. It's going to cut a frame that will, go over the top of your acetate to frame your thing. And it's got a beautiful, cute little stitched thing. And then you can fill your frame with small sequins, which we sell throughout, various catalogs, various colors. The star ones in the current catalog are by far my favorite. They're so cute and so dainty. And then, but if you want to make your own confetti, which is a great idea, I've seen this done with a photograph, and the girl was wearing like a yellow shirt lying in some grass, and then they made their own confetti out of the same yellow that matched her shirt. So adorable. So, I mean, if you like shaker cards, you want to start adding that element to your things, this is great. And, you know, that machine will help you do that. So anyways, that's all I have for cold embossing. Again, I'm not an expert. There's many more other techniques that you could do, but shoot me any questions if you have any questions. But I do love the look of embossing, and I think it makes your cards just look so much more, I mean, it just makes them look stunning, and it's literally zero effort. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.